Wishes Fulfilled, Mastering the Art of Manifesting by Dr. Wayne W. Dyer. Chapter 9. Making It All Come Together. Turn back to the higher planes and plunge into the cosmic ocean once again. People think that it is in the details that they will find the light, the precision they are looking for, but this is an illusion. You will find far more light in what is vague and indistinct. The human soul needs immensity. Only in immensity can it be happy and feel free to breathe. Omron Mikhail Avanhov. This final chapter will assist you in achieving that immensity that your soul is seeking. It is comprised of 7 questions for you to contemplate and explore as you begin your wishes fulfilled life. The questions are based on the 5 wishes fulfilled foundations in the 3 opening chapters. These questions, along with my ideas and suggestions, are in no particular order of importance. They are offered in the hope that as you finish reading this book, you have a strong aura of all things are possible swirling around in your consciousness. Once you decide to live from this divine awareness, your life takes on an air of appreciation for the mysterious and a belief in the miraculous. All of your God-realized wishes will indeed be fulfilled. Question 1. Does it feel natural? There will be times when you doubt your ability to attract into life the successful fulfillment of your wishes, including the ideal person you would like to be. I realize these words appear to contradict what I've written earlier in this book. However, I'm addressing this question from the position of the overly conditioned ego that's been trained to believe it's preposterous to think you can become what you would like to be by simply assuming the feeling in your body of your wishes being fulfilled. Neville alerts you to this disruptive influence with these words. The time it takes your assumption to become fact, your desire to be fulfilled, is directly proportionate to the naturalness of your feeling of already being what you want to be, of already having what you desire. The fact that it does not feel natural to you by what you imagine yourself to be is the secret of your failure. Regardless of your desires, regardless of how faithfully and intelligently you follow the law, if you do not feel natural about what you want to be, you will not be it. Think about what you plan to manifest. Then use your imagination to feel what that feels like in your body. Does it feel natural to you? Does it really feel like this is the you that you are deciding to be? If you've been sickly for most of your life and you are assuming the feeling of a healthy body, does it feel natural to see yourself as a picture of perfect health? Do you feel that with your imagination and God, all things are possible? If you've been overweight or addicted or poor or victimized or unlucky or weak or anything at all that is incongruous with your perfect well-being, can you feel natural when you assume the feeling of your new ideal? Do you feel entitled to prosperity, health, happiness? If that feels unnatural, you must take on this task that Neville defines in this way. The essential feeling of naturalness can be achieved by persistently filling your consciousness with imagination, imagining yourself being what you want to be or having what you desire. I readily admit that there are some things that you might desire or wish for that will never feel natural to you. This came up in an interview I recently did on a telecast for a national television network. The interviewer asked, "Do you mean to tell me, Dr. Dyer, that if I do all that you recommend and follow the law of assumption to the letter, I can become a linebacker for the New York Giants?" Now, this man was about 5'7" tall and weighed maybe 150 pounds. A small man imagining himself in a very large man's physical position on a professional football team. I asked him, "Does it feel natural for you to be playing that position on the Giants?" His immediate response was, "No, not at all." And thus I reminded him that the time it takes your assumption to become reality is proportionate to the naturalness of being it. In my opinion, the interviewer would be doomed to failure with his assumption. However, I've seen professional basketball players who were 5'7" in a professional populated by giants, and not only could they play at an all-star level, but they could jump high enough to dunk a basketball. When interviewed, they said without hesitation, "It feels natural to me, even though no one else can imagine it happening." This is relevant to you because it's actually rare to desire what simply feels unnatural. If being healthy, prosperous, happy, successful, strong, intelligent, and so on feel unnatural, then naturalness may be achieved by persistently using your imagination and your subjective attention to make this feeling stick. Throughout my life, it's felt natural to achieve prosperity, heal my body, teach self reliance, and simply be happy. When I was a school teacher, most people said, and I still hear it to this day, "You can't make any money as a school teacher. After all, it's a low paying profession." Yet being prosperous and making money has always seemed natural to me. When I was a school teacher, I taught extra courses at night school, worked every summer, started a driver education business, gave public lectures for a fee on Monday nights, became a consultant on how to attract government grants, started a tutoring business, wrote books, took additional college credits to maximize my salary, and on and on. Eventually, because it all felt so natural to me, I made teaching a lucrative profession. At one time, I was restricted to a classroom as a teacher. Today, I'm still a teacher, only my classroom has now become the entire globe. Whatever it is that you want to manifest for yourself, do not be afraid to place it into your imagination. Assume the feeling of that wish fulfilled, and by all means, make it feel as natural as apple pie. Today, we have a man who elevated his life to become the President of the United States. Given his position in life as the child of a mixed race marriage, raised partially in a Muslim country with the name of Barack Hussein Obama, virtually everyone would have said that this young boy's aspirations were unnatural, plain, and simple. But he didn't see it that way, and neither should you. Move your highest dreams to a rightful, natural place in your imagination, and then do as Ralph Waldo Emerson, the man whose portrait I'm looking at as I write, advised. Build, therefore, your own world, as fast as you conform your life to the pure idea in your mind that will unfold its great proportions. It is my long held strong belief in knowing that you are never given the power to dream without the equivalent power to manifest that dream and make it your physical reality. And this is also from Emerson to chew on. Every spirit builds itself a house, and beyond its house a world, and beyond its world a heaven. Know then that the world exists for you. For you is the phenomenon perfect. What are we? That only can we see. Question 2. Am I willing to command my I am presence? It is totally unnecessary for you to be subtle or obsequious with your highest self. You are God, not the ego-oriented model of a deity superior to everyone and everything, but the God who is spoken of in the New Testament. He who does not love does not know God, for God is love. 1 John chapter 4 verse 8 and we are of God. 1 John chapter 4 verse 6. Therefore, as long as you stay in a state of love, you must be God. And everyone who loves is born of God and knows God. 1 John chapter 4 verse 7. This is not the concept of God that you were probably raised with, even though this couldn't be more clearly delineated in the scriptures of virtually all faiths. View your I am presence as an invisible energy residing within and around you at all times, which is yours to use as you see fit. It is not an external power residing out there somewhere that you can't see or touch, or that you must beg to serve you. It is your very highest self. I encourage you to make use of this God power by insisting upon it serving you in the manifestation of your highest aspirations for yourself and all of humanity. In the I Am discourses, Saint Germain says, "It is this way. Therefore, When you say, I am the conquering presence, I command this I am presence to govern perfectly my mind, home, affairs, and world. You have sent forth the greatest decree possible to be given. Notice the word command. This is in sharp distinction to the teachings that counsel us to treat God gingerly in our prayers and discussions, to be careful not to insult God, and to be fearful of Him. I'm not suggesting you adopt an attitude of arrogance in your relationship with the source of all being. That would contradict the quote from the book of John that God is love. The second question is about you having absolute faith in your own I am presence and a willingness to be insistent on the cooperation of the God force, to which you are eternally connected because you are of God. When you place an intention in your imagination, do not allow a question mark at the end of your pronouncement. See your statement ending in a grammatical exclamation point. I bring this into my reality. It's easy to say if you're already living from that declaration in your imagination and have assumed the feeling in your body of that wish being fulfilled. As Saint Germain advises, put all your power back with God, and then when you command, no matter what it is you want, you have all power instantly on hand to bring forth the fulfillment of your decree. Another favorite observation from the I Am discourses is this: say to your divine self, see here God. Come forth and take care of this. God wants you to set Him to work. This releases a flood of the God energy, intelligence, and substance which flows forth to do the command. Here's one final offering from the I Am discourses regarding your insistence on having your physical body live from a place of divine perfection and well-being. You must take the unconditional stand with your body that the I Am presence governs this physical body completely and compels it into obedience. The more attention you give your body, the more it is the master, and the more it will demand and keep demanding from you. And then to bring this point home to you, Saint Germain offers you these encouraging words regarding your ability to have the I Am commanding presence work for your perfect health. I can positively produce whatever you want in your body if you will fix your attention upon the perfection of it. But do not let your attention rest on its imperfections. If what I am writing here makes you feel a bit squeamish, ask yourself, why in the world would you feel threatened by commanding your God presence to go to work for you? Do you believe that God is truly love, as it is reported over and over in all of the spiritual texts, particularly the New Testament, the Quran, the Bhagavad Gita, and the Tao Te Ching? Be persistent in the use of your I Am presence. More than that, be insistent and command your highest self to set in motion all of the forces of creation that will result in the hardening into fact that which you have placed in your imagination as an already realized fact. I want to re-emphasize that commanding your I Am presence to manifest your heart's desire is not in any way contemptuous or arrogant. If you are not coming from a place of radical humility, then you have invested your efforts in your ego, and that means, of course, that you have edged God out of the entire process. Insisting upon your highest self serving you in the act of manifestation means that you have absolute total faith and conviction in your intention. It is much like your everyday act of breathing, eating, beating your heart, and digesting your food. Of course, you are in a profound state of gratitude for all of these and millions more everyday miracles. And at the same time, you demand and insist upon everything that is involved in all of these activities. you are enabled to obey the original fiat of God as reported in the book of Genesis to take dominion over the earth. Taking dominion means that you insist on it, and remember at all times that you can ask that love take dominion over you and the entire world. Be in a deep state of gratitude for all that you are currently experiencing and all that you are in the process of manifesting, and remain humble for all that comes your way. At the same time, be 100% insistent upon having your wishes fulfilled with the divine assistance of your spiritual source of being. Simply know beyond all doubt that your desires are in the midst of hardening into objects, circumstances, facts, and events, along with a new divinely inspired you, as long as those desires are consistent with the third question that you are about to ponder. Question 3. Are my wishes in alignment with my highest self? This principle invites you to choose which possibility you identify with, and as has been stressed throughout this book, to live as if it has already occurred. If you place into your imagination wishes that are misaligned with your highest God-realized self, you will find yourself frustrated and immobilized. God is love. If your aspirations in any way are outside of this mantra, you will feel lost and you will not succeed. If God is one, then God is incapable of being divided. If your desires involve conflict for yourself or anyone else, then you have brought two into the picture. That is yourself, as well as the second party who might be harmed by the fulfillment of your wish. God, being only oneness wherein all things are connected, and God, your highest self, being love, cannot even recognize the dichotomy that you bring to the picture. If God acknowledged a desire that would bring harm to anyone, God wouldn't and couldn't be God. How could that which is all one recognize two, which is needed in order to have conflict and still be God? This is what happens when you attempt to manifest from a place of selfishness or potential harm to anyone else. You invoke the ego, which is always about winning, overpowering, being better than others, accumulating for the sake of feeling superior, achieving for adulation or recognition, improving your status, and so on. And again, ego is edging God out. I love the way Neville speaks to this point. You never draw out of the deep of yourself that which you want. You always draw that which you are, and you are that which you feel yourself to be, as well as that which you feel is true of others. So in this manifestation activity, the secret is to feel yourself as already being and having what you desire, and to keep the entirety of it all wrapped up in a spirit of love. By all means, place into your imagination the idea of living a prosperous life, but this in no way implies from a God-realized position that you desire a fancy watch, a luxury automobile, a large infusion of cash, a palatal home, or anything else that is for the purpose of elevating your position among your peers. This immediately involves conflict. Tunis you and those you are attempting to impress with your being in some way superior. Staying aligned with your source of being means no one is in any way better than anyone else, regardless of the monetary value of their stuff. This third question is asking if you love as you are loved by the creative source of all. Can you ask out of love, live, and feel as if what you desire is already a present fact, and then allow the universal source of all to provide with no concern about appeasing the demands of your ego? If demanding and insisting is your style, do it from a place of pure love. Be willing to give it all away in the name of that love. Stay in that place of pure humility. If you desire to purify your body and live from a disease-free place of perfect health, simply assume the feeling of love throughout your body and live as if it were your reality. Not to impress others, not to have special privileges bestowed upon you because you are more special and thus more deserving of this healing, but purely out of your humble sense of gratitude for being in a state of well-being. Albert Einstein once famously observed that all he wanted to do was to learn to think like God thinks. This means living and manifesting from a place of all-encompassing desire to serve others, to be a love, to ask nothing in return for what you give. In other words, to simply be love. Get your ego out of the picture and draw out of the deep of yourself, as Neville explains it. And the deep of yourself is truly your highest self, which is, of course, God. Let the God that you are, the God that Jesus said you are, the energy that you draw upon to fill your imagination. And then know that you are fully aligned with the only source that is responsible for all creation. As you begin to see your divinely aligned manifestations show in your physical world, think like God thinks, and share any munificence with others with no expectation of anything back, including even a thank you if it is not forthcoming. As you place your intentions in your imagination and assume the feeling of those intentions being fulfilled, ask not for anything that is outside the great sea umbrella of love that is God. The words of Jesus in the book of Luke sum up all that I am saying here. But if you love those who love you, what credit is that to you? For even sinners love those who love them. And if you do good to those who do good to you, what credit is that to you? For even sinners do the same. But love your enemies, do good, and legend, hoping for mothering in return. And yet your reward will be great, and you will be sons of the Most High, for he is kind to the unthankful and evil. Therefore, be merciful, just as your Father also is merciful. Luke chapter 6, verses 32 through 36. Similarly, Leotas, some 6 centuries or so earlier, reminds you that the great sage is kind to the kind and kind to the unkind, because kindness is in his nature. If you can make your desires harmonize with the messages of the above passage while practicing humility and keeping your ego at bay, If you can make your desires harmonize with the messages of the above passage while practicing humility and keeping your ego at bay, you will come to see the truth in Neville's observation that you never draw out of the deep of yourself that which you want. You always draw that which you are. The key here is the deep of yourself. That is your highest self, and you will also see the significance of the 4th question, which follows. Question number 4. Am I free of judgment, condemnation, and criticism? Several months ago, my desire to manifest something into my life did not appear to be registering with the God force that brings all things into being. It is not that I was being impatient, for I have come to know in my heart of hearts that all things arrive in divine time, and that it is not the job of my ego to say when what I desire should show up. I have come to fully accept that infinite patience produces immediate effects. As A Course in Miracles tells us, the immediate results are the sense of inner peace that I feel when I trust in the divine and infinite patience is just another way of saying pure faith. The point I'm making here is that I wasn't experiencing anything remotely close to inner contentment. In fact, the more I focused on what it was that I wished to see fulfilled, even though I was practicing everything and I've written here in the first 8 chapters of this book, the more I felt anxious, sad, worried, frustrated, and even mildly angry at times. It just didn't seem to be working. Then one day, I was rereading for the upteenth time the 3rd volume of the I Am Discourses, the little book that was left at the yoga studio, all wrapped up in gold, and that influenced the creation of this book. And I came upon something that made me realize why my feelings in my body were so discordant when it came to the fulfillment of one of my greatest wishes. The student should constantly look within his human self and see what habits or creations are there that need to be plucked out and disposed of, for only by refusing to any longer allow habits of judging, condemning, and criticizing to exist in to Reading this paragraph was like having a bucket of cold water thrown in my face to shock me from the coma that had defined my life in relation to the lack of fulfillment of my wishes regarding this particular thing, which I choose to have remain private. All the while, I was using my imagination to have a clear picture of what I wanted. I practiced living from the mental position. I assumed the feeling of the wish fulfilled. I always used the last few moments of my awake time to go over and over what I wished to manifest before entering my unconscious state of sleep, where my subconscious mind was most at home. During all that time, I was also seeing imperfection in another of God's children. I lovingly criticized, not so lovingly condemned, and my judgments frequently overshadowed my spiritual visualizations and intentions. I had to learn that every single one of God's children is doing what they know how to do, and I need to be able to love them, all of them, as our source of being loves them without judgment, without condemnation, and without criticism. If I'm to be a being of love, living for my highest self, that means that love is all I have inside of me and all that I have to give away. If someone I love chooses to be something other than what my ego would prefer, I must send them the ingredients of my highest self, which is God, and God is love, as I have reiterated over and over throughout the pages of this book. My criticism and condemnation of the thoughts, feelings, and behavior of others, regardless of how right and moral my human self convinces me it is a step away from God realization. And it is God consciousness that allows for my wishes to be fulfilled as long as they are aligned with the source of being. I can come up with a long list of reasons why I should be judgmental and I want to do my criticism and condemnation of the thoughts, feelings, and behaviors of others, regardless of how right and moral my human self convinces me it is a step away from God realization, and it is God consciousness that allows for my wishes to be fulfilled, as long as they are aligned with my source of being. I can come up with a long list of reasons why I should be judgmental and condemnatory toward another of God's children, and why, damn it, I am right. Yet if I want to perfect my own world, and I so want to do so, then I must substitute love for these judgments, or take the consequences of not having my wishes fulfilled. I spent years studying the teachings of Patanjali, and he reminded us several thousand years ago that when we are steadfast, which means that we never slip in our abstination of thoughts of harm directed toward others, then all living creatures cease to you, me, and all of us. We do occasionally slip and retreat from our highest self into judgment, criticism, and condemnation, but this is not a rationale for choosing to practice that kind of interaction. I can only tell you that when I finally got it, and I sent only love to another of God's children whom I had been judging and criticizing, I can only tell you that when I finally got it, and I sent only love to another of God's children whom I had been judging and criticizing, I got the immediate result of inner commitment, and my wishes have defiantly assuredly been fulfilled. I urge you to send love in place of those judgments and criticisms others when you feel that they impede your joy and happiness, and hold them in that place of love. Notice that if you stay steadfast, when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at do the change. Question 5. Do I pray as if my prayers are already realized? The traditional means of prayer that I was exposed to throughout my life involved asking for something and hoping that an external God would provide me with the answers for my wishes. A close friend and colleague, Greg Braden, is also a student and admirer of Neville, writes in his penetrating book, The Isaiah Effect. Rather than asking that the outcome of our prayer come to pass, we acknowledge our role as an active part of creation and give thanks for what we are certain and that we have created, whether we see immediate results or not. Our thanks acknowledge that somewhere in creation, our prayer has already been fulfilled. This may appear to contradict the ask and you shall receive version of prayer that you were likely exposed to. It may feel new, but it is so important that you acknowledge your own divine role in the fulfillment of your spiritually aligned desires for yourself and others. A vision is within your imagination as you enter into your sacred practice of prayer. One thing that is so strong you can already feel its fulfillment in your own body. To once again quote Neville, the moment you accept the wish as an accomplished fact, the subconsciousness finds means for its realization. To pray successfully, then, you must yield to the wish, that is, feel the wish fulfilled. Being a piece of God, and therefore altogether God as a part of the entire process of creation, you become an active participant in your own private, prayerful moments. Consider shutting out your senses completely, along with all of the evidence they continuously place before you, because you are, in your prayers, going to attempt to feel what your senses, will most assuredly deny. Perhaps describing what I do will help you. When I pray, I always yield to the wish that I have for myself, my loved ones, and the entire planet, and all of its habitants. Rather than attempting to force my wish or to have God take over and do my bidding for me. In my mind, I see my wishes as accomplished, and I experience what that feels like. Savoring the feeling in my body, I stay in a profound state of gratitude. My prayer is without effort, rather it is felt as an already accomplished fact. I then act as if what it is I am praying for is my truth, even if my senses and all of those about me give evidence to the contrary. I am not asking for special favors, because I do not believe in an ego-constructed deity who plays favorites or has the ability to heal everyone one yet withholds these favors because he or she is looking for something from me. I am a part of the entire business of creation. I am divine consciousness, and I never forget it. I know I have the capacity to make conscious contact with my source of creation. There's no fear of insulting a mythical God. In the I Am discourses, Saint Germain says, I say to the students in all sincerity, there is no possible way of attaining a quality or a desired attribute without claiming it. With this in mind, I claim peace, health, happiness, joy, prosperity for everyone I know in my life. I claim peace and contentment for myself, for humankind, and the entire world. In my prayers, I give thanks for my kid and the entire world. In my prayers, I give thanks for my mysterious role in all of this. And I reprogram my subconscious mind so I feel this in my body. I leave my sacred prayer time and go about the activities of my life, whatever they may be, with this feeling within me. I am not discouraged by what my senses might be reporting. I have left all ideas of time and timing behind, and I trust in the I Am presence that is my true identity. Often at night, I engage in prayerful visualization. I visualize faces of people I know who have crossed over and left the outer world, people I've seen in the media but have never met, and people I knew as a child. I surround them with love. I see the love and I feel it for them and myself. I am calling in the I Am presence. As the I Am discourses teach, the undesirable moves out and the I Am presence moves in, and you find that you have truly entered into a new world filled with happiness and perfection you have always known existed somewhere within your own heart. This is prayer to me, and when I emerge from these moments of prayer, it is as if I have attended a movie and seen the successful end of the film, even though I may not have been shown precisely how that ending was achieved. This is not only the great power of prayer, it is also the power of a wishes fulfilled life. No ego, no force, no special privileges, simply an awareness of the power that exists within us when we assume that what we pray for, always aligned with our highest selves, is a completed fact. We are, each and every one of us, a participant in this dance of creation. Question 6. Is my mind open to infinite possibilities? You live in an infinite universe that includes all of existence because this field is unlimited in dimension. Nothing can happen outside of it. Everything that occurs within this field is completely influenced by it, and consequently, nothing accidental is possible. This field of consciousness and your role in it, as I stated at the beginning of this book, omniscient, almighty, omnipresent, and a fragment of God. With God, all things are possible, which is infinitely exciting when you are convinced that there's nothing left out. Living from this perspective, if your wishes align with this one universal God force, miraculous occurrences become the norm. The universe seems to conspire in ways that are hidden from your intellectually inquiring mind, which seeks specific scientific answers as to why this or that seems to be taking place. While your cognitive apparatus remains totally befuddled, mysteriously benevolent forces begin to come to your aid. Synchronistic, unexplainable happenings become more easily accepted, and things that you were taught are impossible and outside the realm of reality show up. I've had to address this question of being open to infinite possibilities during some meaningful and unanticipated events in my recent life. Since I've been practicing what I've written about this book and living from this God perspective, I've experienced many things and events that I probably would have rejected without this awareness. Then again, I very likely wouldn't have been able to permit these new experiences, new awarenesses to penetrate my ego-dominated shell. I am choosing 3 examples of my personal experiences that have recently occurred as I've progressed on this path as a man, a teacher, and a spiritual being. The first personal experience. As I reported earlier in this book, there have been a significant number of unexplainable orbs showing up in photographs taken of me, particularly when I'm speaking before audiences on the subject matter that comprises the totality of the information in this book. Similarly, these orbs have also been appearing in photographs when I'm surrounded by people at these events, either signing books or simply enjoying the loving, friendly, and compassionate conversation that occurs at these gatherings. I have no idea what these orbs are, why they appear now and apparently haven't at earlier times, or if they have any hidden meanings. See photo insert. I have read Claus and Gandhi Hinneman's book, Orbs, Their Mission and Messages of Hope. I encourage you to do the same. They've included their commentary on many photographs taken of these orbs at various functions throughout the world. Claus holds a PhD in experimental physics and has taught at Stanford University, and his wife is a respected educator in California. Obviously, these are thoughtful, informed people whose inquiry into this phenomenon comes from a well-grounded perspective. The orbs began appearing in my life recently during speeches and subsequent conversational groups. They seem to me to coincide in my responded They seem to me to coincide with my decision to help myself and others live from a higher place of God realization through exploring, living, and writing about aspects of God consciousness. If you look at the pictures of the orbs in this book's photo insert carefully, you see that a larger one appears above my head, and often the room is filled with smaller orbs, almost as a confirmation that the messages of love that infiltrate the occasion are being witnessed by these mysterious circles of light. I do not pretend to know what they are or why they are now making themselves known to me in the manner that they are appearing in my life. They could be emanations from spirit beings that could be surrounding me with new energy to heighten my awareness and help me to clarify my messages. I have no idea. All I know for certain is that all things are possible, and I'm open to what they may or may not be about. My friend Linda Millick first acquainted me with these photographic light emanations during a Hay House Caribbean cruise not long ago. She told me that 18 years ago, her son had died while saving a friend in an auto accident. Her son communicates with her in a channeling fashion, and circular orbs and other orb shapes appear in her photos when she feels he's close to her. As she was telling me this, she said she could feel his presence there on the ship docked at St. Martin. She took my picture, and there on my left and right hips was a megaphone-shaped orb identical to the ones she had seen in photos at her home. It was on this cruise that the first orb appeared, which I wrote about earlier in this book. See photo insert. While I reiterate that I do not pretend to have an intelligent explanation for the continuing appearance of these orbs in my life, I love what Saint Ignatius of Loyola once told his followers. For those who believe, no words are necessary. For those who do not believe, no words are possible. I leave you to make up your own mind, and I remain open to learning more about these mysterious occurrences. The second personal experience. My second example that defies any rational explanation involves my recent experience with a man who lives in the small village of Abandonia in Brazil. He goes by the name John of God. My friend Raina Piskova, a medical doctor and eye surgeon who lives in California, has visited John of God in Brazil on several occasions. She asked me to go with her to receive his healing after learning of my diagnosis of leukemia. I agreed to go to Badini with her, but as the time approached, I made the decision to stay here in America, largely because I felt so compelled to write this book. I needed uninterrupted time to do the work of sitting down and disciplining myself each and every day for several months in order to complete the manuscript for the book you are now reading. Raina spent 2 weeks at the casa where John of God performed his surgeries. Although her original reason for going to Abadania for my healing, she received the surgical procedure herself. While there, she sent a message asking that I have 4 photographs taken of me. I was instructed to dress in white outer garments and have the pictures taken from both sides and from the front and back. On Friday, she presented them to John of God and asked if he would allow surgery on me from these photos and from the long distance between Brazil and Hawaii, where I was writing. John of God looked at the photos and said that he could not do the surgery because I needed to be taking special herbs, and without them it would be futile. Reina, God bless this divine angel of a woman, doctor, and friend, obtained the special herbs and then took them in a cab to a FedEx station. When they arrived 3 days later, I was told to take 8 capsules over a 48-hour period, then have the photos retaken in white and emailed to her immediately. My daughter, Serena, took the 4 photos and emailed them to Reina. The next day, Reina called and excitedly told me that John of God had agreed to participate in the surgery. It would be performed Thursday at 7 a.m., 2 p.m. in Brazil, and she gave me very specific instructions on what I was to do in preparation for the surgery. At 7 a.m. that Thursday, I was in bed while this long-distance activity took place using the new photos. I was open-minded, yet I must confess that a smidgen of perplexity and skepticism wafted over me at this unusual transmission of a long-distance surgery requiring 4 photos of me dressed in white, and that I swallow herb capsules FedExed from Brazil. My cell phone began buzzing with messages from Reina. I was to go back to bed and sleep for the next 24 hours, eat no pepper, pork, or spicy foods, no exercise, no phones, no writing, no sex, and no messages for 7 days when the sutures were to be removed. My first reaction was that I couldn't go back to sleep for 24 straight hours, as I had just awoken from 8 solid hours of sleep. Reina told me that if I couldn't sleep, I was to pretend that I was sleeping, and the entities who do the healing would anesthetize me. Within 5 minutes, I felt overwhelming fatigue. I laid down in bed and stayed there for the next 24 hours, only getting up twice to eat something light and to pee. The next day, the idea of being my normal routine of walking, swimming, stair climbing, and weightlifting, which I've done daily for the past 35 years, seemed totally out of sync with what I was feeling. Even walking a few steps took my breath away. When I spoke to Reina about this, she said, "You have had surgery. You absolutely must rest for the next 7 days or you will mess up everything that John of God has done for you." So the entire week passed, and my daughter Serena simply took care of me while I did nothing but rest. My body was detoxifying in a very big way. I went from feeling just fine to coughing up phlegm and having flu-like symptoms, difficulty breathing, exhaustion, watery eyes, and many other symptoms. Exercising in any way was totally out of the question. I spent 1 week in a total state of rest. Reina then told me that the following Wednesday night I would be having my sutures removed and gave me very specific instructions of precisely what I was to do in preparation for my 8 hours of sleep while the entities removed their sutures. Of course, I did exactly as I was instructed, but that modicum of doubt still swirled around in my mind about spirits removing invisible sutures. My friend told me that anything could happen and that when it took place for her the first time, the room actually shook like a minor earthquake. So I might want to remove anything valuable from high places in my bedroom in the event that I had the same experience. Reina sent me by FedEx again from Brazil water that had been blessed by John of God, which I was to place by my bedside. I was to wear white to bed and pray and be pure love as I dozed off. I had a picture of everyone I could imagine in my mind, and I bathed them all in a cascade of pure love. The next morning, I looked at my watch, a watch that has a 10-day power supply source, a watch that has always kept perfect time to the second. It was 7:05 a.m. The phone next to my bed rang, and my dear friend Carrie asked me how the night went. I told her I was just waking up, and she said, "But it's 8:25 a.m. I'm at the airport." I assured her that her time was incorrect, and she was adamant that it was 8:25. It turns out that my precision guaranteed watch had stopped for 80 minutes during the night. When I walked out to the kitchen, my children jokingly asked if I'd been doing drugs. My pupils were tiny, my left eye appeared to be scratched, my eyes were watering, and I looked to them as if something very strange had happened to me. I felt like I was pure love. Everything I looked at, I saw with new eyes. The tree was love, my plants were love, the ocean was love, and every person I saw that day, I just wanted to tell them how much I loved them. I was a walking being of love, and it has not dissolved since then. 2 days later, that same precision watch once again inexplicably lost exactly 80 minutes. Then the next day, Raina called and told me that the clock on her automobile was 80 minutes slower than it was supposed to be, and she sent me a photo verifying it. I have no idea what transpired in those 80 minutes. Raina hypothesized that the electromagnetic field of the healing energies from the entities doing the surgical procedures through John of God is so much more powerful than the field of the watch that I was wearing, that while they were healing and removing the sutures, it caused the watch to stop. I admit I can't give an intelligent answer other than I was being given absolute proof in a physical way that what was taking place was not only real, but that I would be able to tell others of this phenomenon because I live such a visible life. At any rate, my body has still been detoxifying. I am feeling so much love for everyone, including a person who engaged in litigation against me, attempting to achieve financial gain, something that once made me angry, and now all I can do is bathe him in love as well. And the litigation ended shortly thereafter as well. At this point, I would like to go back to my discussion of the orb phenomenon that has recently infiltrated my life. The Handman's book contains 65 color photos with orbs in them, taken at various functions all over the world. After my experience with John of God, I learned that some of those photos were sent to the authors, showing orbs making themselves visible in photos taken in Abadania. They are reproduced in the photo insert. Note, the huge orb above John of God, Geo de Hus, while he does a visible healing intervention and a photo where the orbs cloud the image of the entire healing encounter. The presence of these orbs with John of God, as well as those that seem to be showing up at my speaking events, is a synchronicity that defies my reasoning powers. Yet it is there, and I am open to learning what it all means or living with contentment in the mystery. What I can report with certainty is that profound changes have taken place in my body in both a physical sense and even more emphatically in a feeling sense. When I received the diagnosis of leukemia, I had been told by several physicians that I wouldn't be able to continue practicing Bikram yoga 4 days a week. The heat, I was informed, would be too strenuous and it would be ill-advised for me to continue this activity. Sure enough, I found myself feeling so weak in yoga class that I ultimately abandoned the practice. Yet one early morning, while meditating just 20 days following my suture removal, I heard an inner voice saying, "Do not go for a walk today. You can now do yoga." I listened and went to my first Bikram class in 11 months. Although I was rusty, I completed the class, much to my renewed joy. I had always loved yoga, and I had missed it terribly. I am back to an early morning class 4 times a week, and my ability to hold the postures in the heat have surpassed what I was accomplishing prior to my leukemia diagnosis. I feel stronger, and those aches and pains that had returned when I abandoned yoga are completely gone. A few days later, I celebrated my 71st birthday in a totally unique way. The overwhelming sense of love I felt after my experience with the healing entities was dominating my every waking moment. That day, I went out on the streets of San Francisco and talked with an array of homeless people. I felt compelled to simply love and give. To that end, I had a wad of cash with me, and I passed out $50 bills to at least 30 different somewhat lost souls. When I returned to my hotel room, I sat on the bed and simply sobbed in gratitude. I have never had such a memorable birthday, a day in which I felt driven to reach out and give love without any expectations in return. I now feel absolutely imbued by love, and while my body seems to be detoxing, I've shifted my eating habits and my body feels cleaner and healthier. I have not partaken of new blood tests and medical evaluations because I trust in what I experienced to such a degree that I need no external validation to assure me that these mysterious, mystical events took place. I was there for the surgery and I was there for the suture removal. I need say nothing more. I believe in miracles, and I also know that I am not this outer body. I have no fear of death because I am birthless, deathless, and changeless. This is my I am presence of being one with God. In addition to this feeling, it has become clear to me since my John of God experience that I am more and more in contact with what I can only label angelic guidance. In my morning meditations, I receive what feels like instruction on how to conduct my day. Without exception, when I follow this guidance, I find myself encountering amazing opportunities to reach out and serve, and my inner voice says, follow through and be of service. One recent morning provides an example of what I'm experiencing daily. By 6:30 a.m., I'd conversed with a man who was struggling in his marriage. I advised him to focus for the next 24 hours on unconditional love. It was an unexpected, unplanned encounter, and I gifted him 2 books and a copy of my movie, The Shift. He was elated and expressed that he felt a huge burden had been lifted from his body as a result of our conversation. On my way back home, I encountered a homeless young man asleep on the beach, gifted him $100 and talked to him passionately about seeking help for his drug addiction. He smiled from ear to ear and said that I was the first person he met on Maui who wasn't full of judgment toward him. When I got home, I discovered I had taken the wrong key and was unable to enter my apartment. On the way to the desk to retrieve a correct key, I encountered a woman who had lost her son in an automobile accident some 2 years earlier. As we talked, she told me how just the day before she had seen for the first time a video of his 2nd grade graduation, which was sent to her by a friend. Tears came to her eyes as she described having to testify in a few days at the sentencing of the impaired driver who caused her son's death. We walked together to get the new key, and I invited her into my home. I then gave her a copy of Anita Morjani's description of her NDE, in which she defines death as an awareness of coming into the light of pure love. I said to this woman that after reading Anita's account, she might have some of her anguish removed. I feel these 3 experiences of synchronicity were the outcome of my hearing and responding to angelic guidance during meditation, directing me to walk in a certain direction at a certain time. 3 people's lives were touched because I was not only told where and when to walk, but also because I felt compelled by inner persuasive forces to reach out and be of service. These kinds of synchronicities as a result of inner callings happen every day since my experience of healing with the entities working through John of God. I observe, I listen, and I act, and I feel as if I'm a being of love more than just a loving being. What I have noticed is that I feel as though I learned the lesson of assuming the feeling of the wish fulfilled. I am not simply a loving person, I am love. I was transformed in the encounters with John of God, and I rejoice in giving love to everyone and everything I encounter. This word feeling is so crucial for you to embrace. In the I am discourses, this point is vividly made. I say to you, beloved Minutemen and friends of America, you understand there is not one thing in the whole universe that can touch you, limit you, or harm you, but that which acts through your own feeling world. Then will you come into the fullness of life. You cannot do it until you do realize that. My healing experiences with John of God, I believe, made me realize that. The 3rd personal experience. My 3rd event involves the enigmatic subject of past lives or parallel lives, since time doesn't really exist in an infinite universe. My good friend and colleague Brian West has written, researched, and lectured extensively on this topic, and I have been pleased to share the stage with him in venues all over the world. His groundbreaking book, Many Lives, Many Masters, was my first real introduction to past life regression, and while I have seldom had any first-hand experience in this area, I've always found reincarnation and past lives a fascinating area of inquiry. Several months ago, I received an invitation to participate in a past life hypnotic regression from a woman who had worked with Dr. West. Her letter indicated that she intuitively felt I would benefit from a session conducted by her, and she would be willing to come to Maui and do the hypnotic life regression if I were willing. Her name is Mira Kelly, and like Reina and my initiatic teacher whom I refer to throughout this book, Mikhail Ivanov, she was born in Bulgaria. She goes by the name of Mira and is a practicing attorney in New York City. Her letter was so detailed, well written, honest, and compassionate that I elected to contact her and see what she was proposing. Mira told me that she felt compelled to offer this to me. She'd heard me lecture in New York City, read several of my books, and was aware of the health issues concerning my diagnosis of chronic lymphatic leukemia. She wanted nothing, only to offer me this opportunity, and it was a heartfelt thing with her and a calling that she wouldn't ignore. A few weeks later, I received a package in the mail containing Anita Morjani's description of her NDE experience. Mira's decision to send me this interview with Anita was synchronistic in so many ways. It moved me to the point that I had copies made and gave them to many people, including my 95-year-old mother who lives in an assisted living center. My mother simply loved what Anita shared about her experience of being in a coma, being on the other side, and her miraculous healing from a diagnosis of certain death on the horizon within the next 36 hours. It is the same NDE depiction that I gave to the mother whose 8-year-old son had been killed by an impaired driver. Since that time, I have come to know Anita, who is now cancer-free. Her story, Dying to Be Me, has been published by Hay House, and she's appeared on my radio show and appears on my latest PBS special, telling her story for the entire world to hear. And as I mentioned previously, I'm privileged to have written the foreword for her book. Anita told me that she feels the reason she had her NDE and returned from the very edge of death to have a miraculous recovery was to tell the world that she learned while in that state of God-realized awareness. We both feel that our meeting and arranging to have her story published and appear with me on television is part of God's plan for her and myself as well. Mira Kelly's decision to send Anita's NDE report to me was a vital link in this stupendous chain of events. I told Mira by telephone that I would be here for several consecutive weeks the following month, but I couldn't commit to a firm appointment. She said fine, and I pretty much left it alone. Then one day she called and told me that she was on Maui and would be available anytime in the next week. We set a time for Thursday at 10 a.m., exactly 1 week prior to my surgery from John of God, which hadn't even been scheduled yet. At that time, Reina was in Brazil and didn't have a commitment from John of God to perform the long-distance surgery. At precisely 10 a.m. on Thursday, Mira knocked at my door, and within 1 hour, I was entering into one of the most riveting 3 hours of hypnotic time traveling imaginable. Mira recorded the entire session and also transcribed every word in a script format. I reproduce a portion of that experience for you to read and engage in opening your mind to infinite possibilities. Wayne. Desert. I see mountains of sand, people dressed in desert garb, Arab garb of some kind. Mira, very good. Are you outside or looking from inside out? Wayne, outside. There are a lot of people walking around, lots of heavy clothes on. Mira, are you in a place, in a town where people live? Wayne, no, it's, I guess, like a village of some kind, just a bunch of tents. People walking around, men with beards, women with their faces covered. Mira, yeah, look down at your feet and tell me what your feet are dressed in or if they have anything. Wayne, my feet are barefoot. Mira, barefoot. How about your legs? Do you have clothes on your legs? Wayne, I just have on like a shirt, a t-shirt of some kind. I actually don't have very much on at all. Mira, how does the clothing feel against your skin? Does it feel like refined cloth or does it feel rougher? Wayne, I am not sure I have anything on to tell you the truth. Mira, what does your energy feel like? Wayne, like a diaper on, but I'm not a baby. Mira, does your energy feel like male energy? Yeah. Mira, do you feel young or old? Wayne, I feel 11, 12. Mira, stretch your hand in front of you and see if you have any jewelry or anything on your hands. Wayne, no, I see a green ruby. I guess I maybe do have. It's a green ruby. That's weird. It's green. Mira, is there anything around your neck? I mean, decorations. Wayne, no. Mira, right. How about your face and your head? How do they feel? Wayne, it just feels young, like a little boy's face, blonde. Mira, do you have anything on your head? Wayne, I just have a rag thing or something, like a cloth of some kind. It's just, Mira, let's walk around these tents and see what else is going on around you. Wayne, I just see a lot of people shuffling around. It feels like Afghanistan. It seems someplace like that. Tribal kinds of people with beards, but I'm just very young and I don't look like they do. Mira, do they look different than you? Wayne, they look old with beards. Women's faces are covered. Mira, let's go up to your tent and see where you sleep at night. Wayne, I don't think I belong here. I think I'm just kind of wandering. I don't feel like I have a home here. I feel like they don't even notice me though, even like I'm invisible to them. Mira, let's go a little back in time before this scene and see where you come from. How did you get there? Wayne, I think I just wandered. I think I was just wandering and living in the woods or something. Nobody seems to notice me. Mira, let's go a little forward then and see what happens next. Wayne, I'm looking for food. I'm very thin and you can see my ribs. Mira, how do you usually find food? Wayne, just eating things like apples and fruits, whatever is growing in the woods. Mira, do you have family or are you by yourself? Wayne, I'm by myself. Seems like my family has been ambushed or something. Mira, you can see that. Just go back and let the knowledge emerge. Wayne, I don't think I've had family for a long time. I think my family was killed by invaders of some kind. I ran away and escaped. Mira, let's go a little forward to another moment in the lifetime and see what happens. Wayne, I can't get anyone to notice me. I'm looking for clothes, for something to keep me warm, so I steal them and no one notices. Mira, do you still have the ruby on your finger? Wayne, it's green. Mira, how did you get it? Wayne, I found it. Mira, you found it? That's a good treasure to find. What do you do with it? Wayne, it's meaningless. It doesn't mean anything to me. I feel like I'm lost and I can't get anyone to realize what has happened. I ran away for a long time. I have sores on me and cuts. Mira, tell me about these sores and cuts. How did they come to be? Wayne, I think from scratches from the trees, thorns, and bushes. Wandering through that kind of brush. I haven't eaten in a while. Mira, what do you do next? Wayne, I'm going up to people and asking. I'm just invisible to them. They don't know I'm there. I could take anything I wanted. I'm like a ghost, pale, just wearing a little loincloth. I'm not afraid at all. Just can't figure out why nobody is paying attention. Mira, let's go a little forward and see what happens next. Wayne, I just gather up fruits and figs and dried fruit, oranges, apricots, and I have no pockets to stuff them in, so I just take this tray of treasures and go back. That doesn't make any sense. I just go back into the brush. Mira, and that's where you eat them? Wayne, yeah, but I think I had a sister, and I think she's still alive. I want to take this stuff back to her and find her. Mira, is she there when you go back? Are you looking for her now? Wayne, yeah, I'm wandering, looking back. There's a fireplace, and the fire is out. There are bodies around. People have been killed. My father's been killed. He's old. There's a woman weeping. Mira, has your mom been killed as well? Wayne, I don't have a mom. Mira, how about any other family? Your sister? Wayne, she's hiding by an older woman. I guess it's her grandmother. I think her mother has been gone. She's been taken away. She's little. She's younger than me. She's got blonde hair. Mira, how do you feel seeing all this? Wayne, sick, angry, sad. And I bring her food, the apricots, the dried apricot, oranges, and she's only 3, 4. Mira, what do you call her? Wayne, Samantha, Sammy. Mira, how does she call you when she wants to speak with you? Wayne, she just smiles, she doesn't talk. Mira, let's go a little forward and see what happens to her and to you. Wayne, she's too afraid to move, and I feel we have to get out of there. I try to persuade her that we have to leave, but she doesn't want to leave. The old people are still unharmed, grieving. I can see dead bodies around me in this enclave that is there. Mira, has it been more than your father who has been killed? Wayne, that's my father. He's lying there helpless. He's dead. Blood coming out of his mouth. He makes no sound. It's so weird. His grandmother is dressed like an Arab woman. My father had a pair of brown pants on, a belt, no shoes, and the pants only come to his calves. They're tight. He had no shirt on, and he's been ambushed, and the grandmother is just dressed in all black clothes. Mira, what are the old people saying to each other? What do they think has happened? Wayne, the women are just crying. They have obviously been attacked, and I'm just bewildered by how I am going to take care of this mess. Mira, what do you do next? Wayne, I try to find something to dig with to bury my father because there are flies flying around his body now. Mira, do you find anything? Wayne, just some pieces of wood, and I tried to find a place to put them in. Mira, is anybody helping you? Wayne, no, there's nobody to help me. I'm alone here, except for my little sister with these pigtails. Mira, and now let's go forward in time to another important day and see what happens in this lifetime. Wayne, I actually just leave. I just leave and take care of that. Mira, do you leave your sister behind? Wayne, yeah, I think I do. I can't believe it, but I do. Mira, and where do you go? Wayne, I go to the sea. I go to a place where there's a lot of boats. It's before modern boats. It's like tall masted boats. Mira, what do you do? Wayne, I'm older now. I get passage to some place, but I don't know where, and I agree to work. I don't know where I'm going. I don't know where the ship is going. I don't know these people. I don't speak their language. Mira, what kind of work do you do on the ship? Wayne, I'm working in the galley. I think it's going to Greece. Mira, see the ship arriving and you getting off and see where you are. Wayne, I'm much older. I'm 22, strong, no shirt, like a knapsack with all my possessions, which is almost nothing, and boots, same kind of pants my father had on. Mira, where do you go next? What do you do next? Wayne, I'm just looking for a place to stay, and these people befriend me who live in a hut. Greek. Mira, what does the hut look like? It looks like an igloo without ice, just sort of round, trying to figure out when this is. Mira, who lives in the hut? Wayne, a husband and a wife, and that's it. A man and a wife, older people. And they love me very much. They work the land, agricultural, olive trees, grapes, very poor, lot of dust. I stay there. I don't like working the land. I go into the village, and I don't want to work the land. I don't want to do that. I meet a woman who works at serving wine. I think it's wine, and I don't drink it. These cakes, these containers of liquid, she pours it into the cups. I'm attracted to her. She has the face of, it's clearly her, and we fall in love. This little Greek, she's got long black hair, very narrow face, and a little mouth, and big eyes, and she's young, 16, 17, 18. She just flirts and wants to know why I'm dressed the way I am, why I look the way I do, and how I look so different from her, because I'm fair and she's not. She holds my hands, and I fall in love with her almost instantly, and I take a job on a ship and leave. We're married, and the ship is going all the way to the New World. It's explorers. There's talk of islands and people who live on them all across the sea, and that excites me. And I go and I leave her. She's pregnant, but I leave anyway. That just sounds so enticing to find something that no one's ever seen before. It's like a great adventure, and I'm going for a long time, like years. We discover natives and new things, new people. A lot of people dying at sea. Bodies are being thrown out at sea. A lot of scurvy, a lot of sickness, a lot of vomiting, a lot of people dying, and we find a place. Española? I don't know what that means. Dark people. Mira, do you find that in the middle of the ocean? Wayne, yeah, after months, 6, 7, 8 months of sea, just eating few berries and things that are left. We finally hit land. I have a beard, but I'm strong. A lot of people dying, but I'm not dying. I keep surviving. Mira, what does this place look like? Wayne, it looks like an island, native people, lots of trees, coconut trees, lots of fresh trees, fresh fruits. natives that are friendly, but we're not. This captain and these people running in this thing are just really vicious and cruel to these people. It's hard for me to imagine that they would do such a thing. I tried to persuade them not to. They kill people with machetes and knives and things. They're just vicious to these people for no reason, just because they're different. Can't comprehend that. And they load up the ship, but I don't participate in any of the killing and the violence. These people look African, so they are native. I can't figure out why we are so cruel to them. Mira, what do you do next? Do you continue exploring or do you go back? Wayne, no, we load up. Someone makes notes on where this is, and I can't figure this out because I don't know anything about how to figure all that stuff out. I can't figure out how they'd find a place in the middle of the ocean, but a lot of fishing with the lines. Then we go back, and it takes 6-7 months to get back again. I want to see my wife, but when I get back, I can't find her. Mira, what happened to her? Wayne, she died. Mira, what did she die of? Wayne, some kind of sickness in her chest. She couldn't breathe. Mira, did she die before she had the child? Wayne, there's supposedly a little boy, but no one knows what happened to him. 2 years old, but no one knows anything. They're all telling me that she waited and waited and waited for me, but I was just gone for so long. I'm much older now, got gray. I was gone for a long time, 10 years. Mira, how do you feel knowing that you cannot find her and that she has died? Wayne, very sad, very guilty. Mira, let's move forward and see what happens next. Wayne, I just got very sad and depressed, trying to figure out why there's so much violence around me, so much killing. Why can't people it's just a mystery that everybody wants to hurt everybody. I think I write about it. I have to tell. It seems like such a futile thing. Everybody is just so violent. Everybody hates everybody. There's hardly any love anywhere. Everybody is just into surviving, trying to take something from somebody else, trying to talk to people about just caring about each other, and I want to write about it. Mira, how do you do that? How do you talk to people? Do you talk to them one-on-one, or do you stand somewhere? Wayne, no, I just write down what seems to make sense and figure that's some way, somehow people are going to get the message. It just seems that anytime anybody settles down and everything gets sorted out, somebody just comes in and starts killing people, chopping heads off. I'm always perplexed by that. I just can't figure out what in the world, why would people do this to each other? I'm just mystified, always mystified at the cruelty that people seem to show to everybody, even the people who are in their family, living close in the same villages. They're still fighting with each other. It just seems like I'm outside of all of that. I don't have any fights. I don't have any case against anybody. I just want to be left alone. Let people be left alone. Let them live the way they will, not trying to impose something on them. No one seems to get that. It just seems like that's a foreign idea to everybody. I'm really thought of as a crazy old man because I'm writing and there's a light, big light, white light. It's like I'm in a cave and that's the only place I can get any peace. There's a light that comes into the cave right through the roof, through the ceiling. I just sit there and what do I write on? I write on tablets of some kind. They seem like stone, and these truths are just coming right through the ceiling into this light, and they just seem so obvious to me. I can't figure out why they're coming to me. It's like I have this special pipeline to whatever this light is. This light is really bright. It is really bright right now. I feel like I'm Socrates. It doesn't seem like the right time. I'm this wise old man. I've got a white beard to here, and I've got like a whole white robe. It's like something the Pope would wear almost. These things that are coming are so... Mira, how does it feel when they come? Does it feel like ideas? Wayne, no, they come in pictures. Love is the thing. It's just love, and the word love, and the feeling of love. Then the hypocrisy of it all. Nobody like these are the things that I am the only one who knows. Nobody else knows this. Mira, how do you share it with people? Do you travel around? Wayne, no, I'm just sitting in a cave and this information is coming to me and it just makes me light. It's like a knowing. I know I'm going to die soon and I feel compelled to leave this information in some way, and I'm perplexed by how to do that. How to get these truths just coming through this cave. I'm telling you, I'm in a cave. There's a roof above me, but the light just comes right through this cave. It's all dark in there, but there's a light that looks like this, like a spotlight. It goes like this, starts narrow and goes wider and wider and wider. Out of this light comes these truths. All these truths are just about love. They're just about love. That's the only word I can see. Love. Get this message out there. Get this message out there. You just have to love each other. If you could just get that, all this pain and this killing, all this violence, this hatred, it's so simple. It just seems so simple to me. I just have this awakening. It's like, wow. All I have to do is just convince people to do this, but then I look inside myself and know that no one is going to believe it. It's all just going to be bullshit to everybody. No one is going to accept this, but yet you know it's this profound truth. You just have to love each other. Just love each other and you can have your wife back. You can have your sister back. And now she's back. She's black. I can see her whole life unfolding right before me, and my wife is back. And I can see her smiling and how much she loved me. She wished I wouldn't have left. My sister wished I wouldn't have left. My father. And I'm just so heartbroken because I know that nobody is going to get this. Nobody gets this. And I can't persuade people. They're just so hell-bent on survival and fearing that somebody else is going to come and take what's theirs, because that's what everybody does. They create armies and build up all this hatred over all of this stuff. Over little, meager pieces of fruit, little nothing, over the few things that they have, the few crops that they have. I just can't get it. Why don't you just share those things at each other instead of hoarding? You'll multiply them. That's one of the truths that come right through the light. If you share, Mira, if you share, there will be more. Wayne, nobody gets it. If you share it, you multiply it. If you hoard it, you lose it. It just seems like such a simple thing. Yet, it's just so. Nobody can. It goes against everything. Everybody laughs. What an absurd idea that is. If you share it, you lose it. No, if you share it, you'll have more. Nobody seems to get it. Everyone just wants to take theirs and get it before somebody else does. And we bury people, and we kill people, and there's a head over here, a leg over there. It's like, I've seen so much of that. It's just so clear. This truth is just so clear. This truth is just so clear, so clear. You just have to love each other, love yourself, love each other. You're going to be crucified for that, though. You're going to be laughed at. You are going to be an outcast. Now I look back, and even as a little boy, I knew it. I don't want to hurt anybody. I just wanted to feed people. I just wanted to talk sensibly to these crazy people who have swords and they want to do so much damage. I'm just a little boy saying they wanted to kill me and they just stopped and let me run away. They killed my father instead. They took my mother someplace. God knows what happened to her. Mira, when you're in the cave and you receive these truths, see yourself being there and see how you write them. See your hands and what's in front of you. Wayne, the truth of it is, I see them and want to record it, but I feel like it's a waste of time to write it down. Mira, right, because people won't believe you? Wayne, nobody does. They only know taking care of themselves. They only know themselves. There's so little sharing, and so it's, my son has come there. I'm not going to write this down. I don't write it down. I just tell him. Mira, how did you find him? Wayne, he's 30 years old, more, 40 years old, 50 years old. I'm very old. Mira, so you tell him these truths? Wayne, I tell him to remember these things, that these are great truths, that when you share, you multiply. When you hoard, you lose. When you do less to other people, you get more. That being humble and gentle and soft, you get so much more. I'm telling you, you get so close to God. That light is God coming through there. That light is God. It is just so bright. I can see it. Here it comes again. It starts up here and it goes like this. You just swim in it. You just bathe in this light. It's all so easy. Just tell them that this is easy. It's not hard. It's natural. It's normal. It's what you came from. It's what you are. Find out what you are and be that. Don't find out what you aren't and try to be that. It's just another truth. One of those simple, simple truths. Be who you are instead of who you're not. And you can't be anything other than what you are anyway. It is an illusion. If you try to be something that you are not, you can't be anything you're not. You're not hate. You're not killing. That's not who you are. Be who you are. All of that other stuff is not who you are. Just be who you are. My son looks perplexed. He thinks I'm a crazy old man. I am a crazy old man. Everyone around me, the only one who understands this was, oh my goodness, that beautiful woman. I only knew her for such a short time, and then I left her. She knew this. She waited. She didn't die of something in her chest. She was killed. My son just told me that. She was killed too while I was gone. Everything you love, you lose when you lose the love. Everything you love, you lose when you lose the love. So simple. She was murdered, raped. My son wants to know how I feel about the rapist. How do you feel, Dad, about the people who killed the woman you love? And the light is there. And you can go into it or you can go around it. When you go into it, there's only love. And if I try to go around it, it's dark. And it makes me want to kill those motherfuckers. When I go into the light, I love the rapists. When you lose the love, that's it. When you lose the love, you lose who you are, because who you are is love. And all the rest of the time you wander around in the darkness just trying to avoid the light, which calls you, pulls you toward it. It wants to be in it so much. It's too bright. It blinds you with its brightness. You can really love the people who kill the woman you love. I guess I can, because that's who I am. When you love, there's just no room for anything else. If you love, there's just no such thing as non-love. It's all you have to give away. It's when you leave the spotlight, when you leave the light that's coming into this cave, see it come in like this, and then there's all these dark places around it, and you want me to go into the dark places, but I can't, because I am the same as that light. That's who I am. And it saddens me, but it seems to me that that's what I'm here for. He tells me that she loved me so much. She waited and waited and waited, and I let her down because I had to seek out my adventure. I had to find the new places, and all the while I didn't leave to go anywhere. He says he can't do it, and I say to him, "You're just not ready, but it is who you are too." And I got up and walked into that light. I can see it now, and I left him too, bewildered, and I went into that light, and I let myself float into it. I looked down at him. "My son, just move over a few inches into the light. It's just a few inches away. Just slide over and you'll be in the light. Here is the light and you are here. Just move over here. You just have to move this far." You know what he said? "Fuck you. You crazy old man. I'm going to get those guys." That's all. I'm sick. I feel like I'm going to throw up. "Mira, just take a deep breath." "Wayne, I need water." "Mira, I'll get you some." "Wayne, oh my God, oh my goodness." "Mira, just lay down again. Very good. Just close your eyes. Let this light now absorb all the emotions, all the energy. Let it resolve within your body. Let it all turn into love. Let it all get healed. Very good. Just be in that cave again with that beautiful light above you. Just stay in the light. Let it wash over you. Now tell me, after your son leaves, what happens next?" "Wayne, well, I don't exist anymore. I'm just formless." "Mira, you can see everything that happened. What do you think is the purpose you had in the lifetime to learn and to share?" "Wayne, it wasn't about learning and sharing. It was about being. I had to learn to be it instead of trying to become it. I had to learn to be it. And it took me to the end of that life to get that, because now I am gone. I'm with God. It all just seems so trivial." While I had almost no memory of precisely what I said during this session, the visual images are still crystal clear. Was it a reflection of a past life, a parallel life? I can only speculate on that. But I am intrigued by what I said and what transpired while I was in that semi-hypnotic state with Mira. As Anita Morjani said to me in a recent letter, "When I am willing to step into the realm of uncertainty and ambiguity, I open myself up to infinite possibilities." I leave you to ponder this mystery. Question 7. Am I willing to meditate to the I am frequencies? James Twimmen, the author of the Moses Code, asked sounding healing expert Jonathan Goldman to research and create tuning forks that encode the holy name of God, and then reproduce these frequencies in a meditation program. The basis of these recordings is tuning forks that Jonathan designed. They correspond to the gematria of the holy name, I am that I am, given to Moses at the burning bush, as detailed in the books of Exodus in the Old Testament. At the end of the Moses Code, Jonathan explains how these frequencies were created to match the ancient Kabbalah tradition, wherein specific numbers are assigned to whole words and phrases. He concludes his remarks on his research in creating these meditation frequencies by writing, "The I am that I am tuning forks, and the associated field created by them is a provocative and exciting sound experience, and the potential is promising." Meditation is a vital practice to access conscious contact with your highest self. I have meditated for many years and wrote a book, Getting in the Gap, on the many benefits of meditation when I use the Morse code frequency meditation. I feel a deep sense of peace that echoes the messages I've written about in this book. I use the inner mantra, I am, seeing myself as already having arrived at what I've placed in my mind. Then I repeat silently, I am, the name of God given to Moses, honoring the cooperation of my highest self and acknowledging my divinely aligned desires. With these spiritually uplifting sounds wafting through the room or my earphones, I breathe in a sense of tranquility and conscious contact with God. These frequencies have been a regular part of my meditation and manifesting spiritual activities for the past year or so. In fact, I meditate every day for 40 minutes using these exact frequencies to accompany me as I make conscious contact with God in my sacred meditation practice. I encouraged several of my children to join me in a meditation session listening to these sacred sounds. While using the mantra, I am that I am, after only one session, my adult children were hooked. Each day, they would ask me to put on the I am wishes fulfilled sounds so that we could all meditate together. I have reproduced the sacred sounds in a separate CD titled I Am Wishes Fulfilled Meditation. The CD contains 3 tracks. The first is an explanation of how to use this meditation and the results that have accrued to me. I practice daily with either headphones or not in a room aglow with white candles. To me, the sounds are sacred, and I am indebted to James Tewin and Jonathan Goldman for doing the extensive research to recreate these sounds that match up with the special numbers associated with the phrase Aya Asher Aya. These were the words that God spoke to Moses when he asked for God's name, as reported in the book of Exodus. These words in Hebrew are most often translated as I am that I am. Listening to the sacred sounds while meditating brings me, and some of my children as well, a sense of tranquility and a feeling of being at total oneness with the divine. I simply love having these sounds with me in this holy practice of meditation as a tool in the whole process of living a wishes fulfilled life. The second track is a 20-minute reproduction of the Moses Code frequency meditation for a deep meditation, and the third track is a 20-minute meditation version with guitar accompaniment for a more active experience. I do tracks 2 and 3 consecutively every day using the I am that I am mantra as explained in track 1. It is indeed a very powerful tool for manifesting into your life all of your God-realized desires. Summary. The essence of putting these profound teachings to work in your life. 1. Be willing to change your concept of yourself, which means changing what you have believed to be true. 2. Recognize yourself as always connected to your source of being. 3. Become willing to say, I am God, from an egoless perspective. 4. Treasure your greatest gift, your imagination. 5. Live as if what you desire is already here. 6. Assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled. 7. Never let your attention be directed by anything or anyone other than your own highest self. 8. Use the last moments of your day before sleeping to reinforce in your mind your desires as fulfilled. 9. Have a mind that is open to all possibilities. 10. Remember always, you were born with potential. You were born with goodness and trust. You were born with ideals and dreams. You were born with greatness. You were born with wings. You are not meant for crawling, so don't. You have wings. Learn to use them and fly. Rumi. This concludes my labor of love in bringing all of this material into print. I have been profoundly touched by the many spiritual teachers whom I have quoted throughout this book.